Hey everybody, good morning. Wanted to talk about the new ED follow-up process as far as documentation and completion. So first and foremost, we're going to start on the well and let's navigate to our roles page for medical assistant. And we'll go into medical assistant resources where you can find the new PSD regarding scheduling and documenting an ED follow-up call. All right, perfect. So you can see here we have our PSD. We also have ECW open on the screen over here. So a couple things. Our process for those members that we are unable to reach has not changed. So when we do this outreach within 48 hours for our ED members, we want to ensure that we are documenting that outreach even if we don't get a hold of them. So we will go in to the ED follow-up telephone encounter and just document, attempted to reach out to Travis, unable to reach, left voicemail, or voicemail box full, will attempt again. We try that 3 times. And if after that third time we are unable to reach them, we can assign that ED follow-up TE to the provider so that they are aware of the situation and we can do escalation for contact. So that process has not changed. We have changed the process for documenting emergency department follow-up calls for those members that we are able to get in touch with. So you can see here, we are going to be scheduling a hospital phone visit. So they will be on your actual ancillary or nurse schedule. And then we have a process we are going to document within that actual progress note, all of those macro questions that we have been utilizing. So how does that process look? First and foremost, if you're able to get a hold of the member, we are going to go to the ancillary schedule or the nurse schedule and schedule that visit. So you can search your member, select them, right? You also have the ability to come down here and change this to medical record number if that makes it easier for you. You're always going to ensure that your provider is entered in appropriately. This should default to whatever schedule you have chosen. So just bear that in mind as well. So we're going to come down to this visit type. You can see here we have our 4 visit types that have always been in there, but we have a new one, right? So the 5th one here is hospital phone visit, ED follow-up. We're going to select that one. And for reason, you can either scroll all the way to the bottom and select transitional care. You can go in and click all the way through here to select it, or you can also just begin to type it and it'll populate. Visit status, we're going to immediately change that to checkout because these members are not coming in. We're just scheduling a billable visit on the schedule to prove that we have completed this phone call. Great. All right. Perfect. Make my screen a little bit larger here so that we can see everything when I pull it up. So you can see here, we have our member on the schedule. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the progress note. You can do that either from your tracking board once they're scheduled, or you can go in through this resource schedule by right-clicking on the member, going down to view, and then to progress note. You do not have to carry over current medications. That's not necessary for this documentation. All right, so you can see here, we have our encounter progress note that we can now document in. You can see our chief complaint is transitional care. Next step, we're gonna go into the HPI here. This is where we're going to complete the documentation for those macro questions. We have the ED follow-up that defaults to the top of the list. And when you click in here, you'll see all of those questions that we've been utilizing over the past few months for our triage and ED follow-up. So when you click in, you can go ahead and ask your member these questions. So shortness of breath, I'm feeling better. Do you have any new complaints or concerning symptoms? No. Are you following the suggested treatment? Yes. Were you able to get your medications? Yes. And always, of course, remind them to call us first to either keep them out of the ED or to schedule those appointments or whatnot, whatever they may need. So then we hit done. We hit OK. And this is a brand new process. So we dive into the DX over here, which is for the assessment. And we have to enter in some codes to prove that we have completed this phone call. So it is going to be Z92.89. And we are going to default to this first one that says personal history of other medical treatment. When you click on that, it drops it down to the bottom. Then we are going to come over to this little calendar, which is the appointment section, to do some further documentation of our CPT codes. So we're going to hit Add CPT. And on the left-hand toolbar here, you can see there's this non-face-to-face, non-physician services. So that's the one we want to click into. And you'll see these selections in here. We're always going to select this 1111F, okay? And then there's three options here. You can see this is a phone call depending on how many minutes we took with the members. So there's 5 to 10, 11 to 20, or 21 to 30. Hopefully, as long as everything is good with these members, we should only be spending about 5 to 10 minutes on the phone with them. So that one can be a default. But if for whatever reason you spend more time on the phone with those members, just go ahead and utilize that selection. Once we have both of those, so the 1111F and then one of your timing codes, we are going to hit OK. We are always, for these, going to select PRN follow-up, just in case they need to continue follow-up for whatever is mentioned during these calls. They should still be coming in to see their providers for their ED follow-ups per our typical process. So that does not negate what we are already doing. Then you're going to hit close after you ensure that there's a 1 in each one of these blue ICD bubbles here. So make sure that there's a 1 in each, then hit close. And you are going to lock these. So you'll come to the bottom of your note, you'll hit lock. It's always going to say, are you sure you want to lock this? And you hit yes. And you can see here, it saves all of our documentation as well as our codes that we have successfully completed this phone call with this member and made contact to follow up with them. All right. So just back to the PSD, I just want to show you, it does walk you through each step-by-step that we've covered. It talks about scheduling the appointment here with the appropriate selections. And then as far as completing the follow-up, it walks you through step-by-step with some good screenshots here of what selections to actually click into. We're also working with ECW to potentially create a template that you all will be able to easily pull into these notes that should capture the majority of this documentation. So hopefully in the near future, we will be able to select the template and then you guys can just fill out the questions and lock these notes. I do want to cover really quick. So you can see here, I can go back to the hub, right? I spoke earlier about those members that we potentially are unable to reach. So remember, we always want to come into this new telephone encounter. You can click through the global alerts if necessary. And if we're unable to reach them, right, we can come up to this reason here, right? So we are completing an ED follow-up. So always ensure that we're selecting from the drop-down, not freehanding or typing anything into this selection. And then you can type your message in here, right? So attempted to connect with member for follow-up, left voicemail. Okay. Then you hit OK, and you can see it logs your actions. And we do this 3 times. If we are unable to reach them, we forward that to the provider for notification and escalation. So I hope this video is helpful. I know it is a lot of new steps, but I'm here as a resource. If you all need anything, I'm happy to walk through these with you. But yes, I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you need anything.